Hello, friends. Hello. Welcome to enLIGHTen, where we talk about creative consecration through Christ. It is so wonderful to be here with you, and we're going to be talking about scriptures and testifying of Jesus and his light. And I'm so happy to have Shawni here today.
I'm so excited to be here. Eva is the best.
Oh, Shawni is like my American sister, you guys. She is incredible. I'm so actually excited to be here with her because her family brought me here from Bulgaria, and so it's like amazing. We
were very blessed by Eva coming to America and staying with our family. It was kind of when I was gone to college, but we still got to be together a lot, and she brings light wherever she goes.
Oh my gosh, no, Shawni.
As any followers are aware.
No, you're the amazing one, and I'm just so grateful she opened her home. So because we're in Arizona, and she's like, oh yeah, come on over. So we're doing this live together in Shawni's beautiful home. So super duper excited, you guys, and we are going to talk about this artwork today. Look up, and I'm just so thrilled because Shawni is like so wise, and she has taught me so many things, and so I can't wait to be with her and learn from Shawni. This is gonna be awesome, you guys. And so we've known each other for a long time since I came to America. So that would be Old Navy opened its doors in 1994. So boy, it's been many years.
It's been a long time. How long is that?
Oh my gosh.
That's 30 years.
30 years. Yeah, I know. My math is so bad.
That's crazy. It's been a long time.
It has, and I just love seeing your family grow, and we both have missionaries out right now at the same time, which is so amazing. And
we didn't even catch up about that yet.
I know, we haven't.
There are some things to talk about that.
Oh, it's
but
so
I love
amazing.
watching Eva's journey. I'm sorry, Eva, if I say
no, please tell us who you are.
Tell us because she has just like from the minute she came to America, she was just full of light and goodness and excitement. Anyone who follows her knows she's just so excited about all these things. And then to see her take this photography first with her the Lumia photography, and then moving on to this beautiful stuff that she does. It's just so pretty and so expressive, and I think it speaks to so many people, including me. So I'm just thankful I get to be here today.
Oh, it's really Heavenly Father's work, you guys. We're all we're on Team Jesus. We all need each other, and it's just the most amazing thing to do. And so since we're Shawni, you guys know when you come on enLIGHTen, you get to pick the artwork. So this is so fun, and this is the piece Shawni picked. But before we even jump in there, tell us a little about yourself. Tell us about what you want to tell us. Introduce yourself.
I don't know. We have 5 kids, and we live here in the desert where it's really, really bad right now because it's so beautiful, but the blossoms are coming out, so my allergies are going crazy. But we have 5 kids ranging from 26 down to 17, and they're spread all over. We have 1 grandbaby, and I have a blog called 71 Toes that has been really fun to try to share my own kind of life in a different way from what Eva does, and just about the joy of families and being a mom and parenting.
You have so many good ideas. You guys definitely go to that because there's so much wisdom there.
It's fun.
And
fun to continue.
And you have linked posts to parenting ideas that you want to dive in and want to learn more, and you can just go on Shawni's blog and you can click on there for anything that you want to know more about, and it will link you to many other posts that are about the same topic.
My parents are so good at parenting, so I'm trying to carry on their legacy of just sharing ideas, so it's fun.
Yeah, so what is the post again? What is the blog post?
71 Toes.
71toes.
71toes.com.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's not a blog post anymore, right?
It's just
71toes.com. Yeah, you guys, it's amazing. So, Shawni, why did you pick this? What made you decide on this? You know what? I'm gonna move a little closer so I can bring it a little bit. I'm gonna fill up the screen, you guys.
Far away
you know how we do it. Yes. At least like this. I'll bring it so people can see you.
Well, seriously though, can you see I don't know, I just think there's such a beautiful, I've kind of been thinking about, I've been kind of in a thought process about wilderness right now, having our own personal wilderness, especially after we just finished reading Nephi and going into the wilderness. And also I have a missionary who's kind of in her own personal wilderness, and Eva does too. I'm sure he's in his own. I've just been thinking about these different phases of life where we kind of find ourselves in them quite a lot, where we're just in this dark, in these trenches, in this wilderness. And I love how this painting, this beautiful artwork, shows this girl who's looking up, and she's doing the things that she's doing the things that can find joy, in my opinion. And I think sometimes when we're in those trenches and we're in that darkness, we don't really know where to go. But I love that she's looking up, she's reading her scriptures, it looks like, and she's pondering, she's being still. And I just think those are all such beautiful things to do when we find ourselves in our own personal wildernesses. So it just spoke to me because I've kind of been thinking about that lately.
And I love that so much. I don't know why, when I was creating this, it was during the time when the Cinderella movie came on. And so it was her stepmother, no, her real mom, I'm sorry. Big mistake there. Her real mom would always say, be kind, have courage, be good and have courage, right? Wasn't that like her?
Be kind and have courage.
Be kind and have courage. Okay, yes, be kind and have courage. And that is just so amazing, because I feel like in those moments when it could be our hard moments, right? In those wilderness, I think it's so interesting to actually look up, right? To the one source that we have, and have courage to do so. Because I think I don't know, just how amazing the whole idea of courage is in our lives, and how there are so many stories in the scriptures too, that people are in a spot where it's whoa, what do I do? How can I be courageous in this moment? And it's always looking to God, no matter what. It's this idea of looking up and really looking to the light, and He is our ultimate guide and source of that in our lives. So it made me the story of David when he was a little boy. I don't know why that just came to my mind, but I just thought it was so amazing when he's asked to go and fight Goliath, right? It's so kind of scary. I mean, no one wanted to fight Goliath. He was this big, huge giant that no one would even think to go out and stand and let alone fight him and win, right? And something that really touched me about that story is that what does David do? He actually goes and tells King Saul, he's like, God's going to take care of me because He helped me with the bear and the lion that he fought back in the wilderness. And it's kind of amazing that when we are in those hard, dark moments, to remember, to look up, right? And remember what God has done, in our lives, just like He protected David and helped him with the bear and the lion and that fight that he had with them. And so amazing that He's going to help us now in our own hard moments, in our own wilderness. And it's just this looking up and remembering God's hand. I feel like the idea of, even though, look, there's so much darkness around and there's so much hardship, again, is this idea is God was there for me. He's with me now. He is, even in this hard moment, He will never let me alone. And I just love the David story that he just draws in that.
Sometimes that's just so hard to remember, huh?
Yes.
Because when you're in those depths, I just think it's so hard. I've got a couple friends and a daughter who's in the middle of that right now, and I think it's really just... And I've been in there too.
Yeah,
sometimes,
we all have.
Many times. But sometimes it's just so hard to remember. So I love a visual reminder, this is the key, this is what we should do. So is that the inspiration though that you had when you made it? From the Cinderella thing?
Well, I love the words, and then I just love President Monson's talk. I believe it was look up. This idea because it's so easy to look down. Naturally, when we walk, we don't look up. we don't. I feel like our natural way of living the natural man is so much like, look down at your feet, or just look what's right here, that little right in front of you, right? And this whole idea to look from God's standpoint of view, right? Think a little bit, think celestial, hello. That our sweet prophet is telling us how to actually think of these things, even in those moments, to think a little higher, like to be looking up to God, because he sees the bigger picture. We sometimes are right here in the baby steps we're making and tripping and not quite seeing how it's all going to work out. But I feel like as we are in those moments, it's so essential to be looking up to him, because he knows where that path, he knows how it's all going to work out and how it's going to come to place. And
well, I think that's what made me think about Sister Runia's talk, because it's the same concept, looking up, but also zooming out, seeing the bigger picture of what we're in, because sometimes we are in this little spot and we need to zoom out a little bit and see from that overview effect, is what she talks about. So I just love that.
I know, right? Like, it's such a visual reminder of what she was saying. And I think it's so, you guys, we're in seeing God's family through the overview lens. So that's the talk that Shawni picked to go with this piece, which I think it's just perfect.
It's the best talk ever.
Oh my gosh,
so
yes.
Good.
I've re-listened to it over and over
Me
again.
too.
And I when she was speaking, I was like, I love this. Like, I had goosebumps, just because of all the truth, and I needed to hear it so much. Like, her words were like so much pure joy and like infusement of hope. Like, okay, hope. You can do this.
Hope is so powerful.
Yes, yeah. Like, we need to have hope. Otherwise we would never make it, right? Like, and it's not just any hope, but hope in Christ. And it changes everything. Like, because he is the ultimate light. And I think that's what she mostly was like, her main theme was like, have hope.
Totally. Over and over again.
Yeah. In any moment, in any situation. I love how she said, there's, oh my gosh, we can, I think I underlined like her whole talk.
I know, we both have it all
We
marked
both
up here.
have it. I'm like,
I wonder
what
if
do
we
we
underlined the
share?
same things.
Probably. What did you like, Shawni? What are some of the things that stood out to you?
I love the very, very beginning. She just said, she talked about the overview effect when the astronauts went and we were able to look back at the Earth. And I love that she says, I invite you to zoom out and look through a different lens, an eternal lens that focuses on the bigger picture, your bigger story. And I kind of started that because we all have a bigger story than what we kind of see right in front of us. We all are in the middle of things that we just don't understand the full effect of. And we maybe can look back on it later and think, oh, that was why that happened, or this was guided, or this was wonderful, but I just didn't know it at the time. But in the middle of it, it's just so hard. So I loved that she talks about your bigger story.
Such a good, it just made me think so much of like how I was in Bulgaria. I grew up my whole life dreaming to come to America. I had this like an incredible desire and love and dream that everyone laughed at me and everyone said, this will never happen. Are you kidding? And I'm in darkness, you guys. I'm in oppression. I'm in a country that like, it was very difficult to live there on so many different levels. And it really looked impossible. Like, honestly, I was like, what? How? But looking back now, like what Shawni's saying, like looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's so like keeping our dreams alive. I didn't know that the Ayers are gonna want to sponsor someone from Bulgaria. I was just like, what? It's so amazing how God works like that. I didn't know the wall will fall in Germany, and that the Ayers could come and missionaries could even come to Bulgaria, to preach and share Jesus. And it's just so amazing looking back, like. Just don't give up.
The power of hope.
Yes.
You were amazing with that.
It's what the missionaries taught me, right? Like, they're like, there's always hope because you have Jesus. You just don't give up. Like, you just keep believing that even though things weren't working out, even though I couldn't even leave the country. You can't just buy a ticket and go anywhere and just leave the country, go somewhere. That was not like allowed. And then all of a sudden, God does his impossible things, like a wall falls and the Irish come and they said, come live with us. I mean, this was just a big, grand miracle that I could never imagine. Like, I hoped for it. But it's just to think, like, wow, how great our God is. And it gives us hope in those moments when we feel like, where are you, God? Because he's there, you know, it's the timing. It's his timing. I feel like that's such a big thing, the way he works.
I love my sister, Sadie, who we know and love. She always talks about the glistening hole. We can look back at something and see this glistening hole, but sometimes we're in it. And I love that that's become a glistening hole for you, because you can look back and see, okay, all those little steps. But there's so many people who are in the middle of those things right now, and they don't have the luxury of looking back. And there are some things, wildernesses, that people are in, like this girl, who are in them for their whole life. Like, there's really not an end. And so what do you think about that with Eva, with the hope?
That's a good question.
It is. I'm just trying to help. I have a daughter who's struggling with that right now. So I'm continually, she has a syndrome that causes vision loss and a lot of other things. And she's in a valley, a really deep, dark valley. And she's trying to see that light. And so what do you think, Eva? Because you're full of hope. Do you have any advice? I'm sure other people listening are in the same. Like,
yes,
there's things that aren't going to go away. Things that aren't going to resolve.
I know, and it's interesting because I actually brought this on the way to Shawni's house, you guys. I felt to bring this because I'm going to talk about this right now. It's the story of, I hope you can see it. I think you can. Okay. It is the story of the daughter of Jairus.
Want me to hold it up?
Okay, let's do that. Good. Like you can kind of see.
It's pretty beautiful.
This was like, this is one of my favorite stories, like, of all time in the scriptures. And I love it for many different reasons. But let's talk about what you just mentioned, Shawni. I think it's so interesting because in this situation, we see Jairus so patiently waiting by the Savior. I picture him standing right by Jesus this entire time. And he was a ruler of a synagogue, right? He was someone that people look up to. And he goes out of his way to come and talk to Jesus. One thing he does that is like, wait, why would you even go talk to him, right? He's not afraid. So he goes and talks to Jesus because that's who we go to and talk to when we're in those dark, hard times. And I love the process of how he does that. To me, it's so tender. And I just love the patience that Jairus has had. He's waiting in this whole time where Jesus is healing the woman with the issue of blood. We know the story. Those two stories are so intertwined. And I think they have to go together. And there's a reason why they put them together. And there's so many, we can spend an hour just talking about that story. But I feel it goes so well with what you just asked, Shawni, and you're pondering. And thinking of Jairus, you guys, that he is patiently waiting. And he's still waiting while Jesus is talking to the woman with the issue of blood. He knows his daughter is basically dying. And he doesn't say, shake up Jesus, and do it right now, please. She's dying. He doesn't drag him by the hand. And he's very, very patient with him. And that's something that touches my heart so deeply. And it's something I am always working on because I'm not very patient. There's not patience 101 in college. You can't take that class, you know. And I think sometimes as parents, we just want to shake and change things right away. We're just like, no, do this instead, right? But this parental figure of this dad is so dear to my heart. And the way Jesus works, the way this whole miracle happens, and we know she is physically dying, but how about if we think spiritually dying, right? We could have we may need an awakening in our own lives. We all need that. We all maybe have been there or will have at whatever point in our lives. It's this awakening, this what if something has died in us? how can we bring that back up to life? So I think it's interesting to ponder that in that respect, that it's not just physically, she's dying. But we can also think of it spiritually and apply that, in our lives. And it is so tender to think that someone actually comes in the midst of him healing the woman with the issue of blood. And they tell the master, you know what, don't even bother him. Like they're telling to Jairus, Jesus doesn't have to come. She's gone. This is it. And sometimes we feel like things have gone so far out that it's over. Like it's not, there's just, for our mortal eyes, we feel like there's no way coming back, because we don't see the things the way the overview lens works. We don't see them like God sees them, and it's so dear. And what does Jesus say right then? He is like, as soon as this man comes and tells them, don't bother, don't talk to Jesus, she's dead. I just love these words. As soon as Jesus heard the word that was spoken, he said unto the ruler of the synagogue, be not afraid, only believe. And I looked up what believe says in the footnote, and it says exercise faith. And it is so, to me, he's like, even if you think things have gone too far out, even if you think like it's not going to work out, like our situation is so dark and so hard at this moment, be not afraid, only believe. I mean, can we just put ourselves in that moment? That's all that Jesus is telling him. I'm here. I can do things at my own timing that you have no idea how powerful I am and how many miracles I can do. And I like the fact that after that he goes with Peter, James, and John to the house, and Jairus and his wife and the little damsel, the little cute girl, 12 years old, like darling, and he shuts the door to all those people that were mourning. Mm-hmm. They were doubting him. They were actually, if we look up, they were ridiculing him. They completely made fun of that possibility that there could be any other outcome than the one that they were seeing with their physical eyes. And I think sometimes it happens to us too. Like we can be in that moment like, how could this ever work? How could this ever work out? And I like that he literally kicks them out. He's like, it won't work if you just keep questioning that and not believing in me. He's like, I'm gonna shut the door, because you do have to be exercising faith. And that's what he's trying to tell Jairus, just have hope. Yeah. Have that hope and faith in me, just like what we're saying. And how sweet. They walk in, it's just them, the door shut to the people that are not believing and trying to mock and laugh at the possibility that it could be any other outcome because she's dead. And then you have this miracle of bringing her back to life, like awakening our loved ones or whoever this could be in our situation, that maybe ourselves too, that part of us that spiritually is not there, that it's dead, and he can do this. And that's why it's so powerful that he can create this whole amazing world. And then he says to them after he brings her back to life, feed her, make sure she eats. And I don't know, there's so many different beautiful aspects of the story, that how tender his character is. And so keep feeding her after that. Feed her those good words, in the book. Feed her light, feed her goodness. Keep talking about me. I seriously think they hugged. I cannot even imagine this group hug of this family after this treacherous moment. And we see this as a moment that this could take years, in our earthly life. But we don't lose hope, because he is the hope bringer. And he knows our timing. I don't know if that
Well, and sometimes I think that's so much easier said than done, because when you're in it, it's just you. And you could even know that. You could even know that about Jesus and believe it and just say, yeah, I do. But it's still just so hard in the process. And I love this part of Sister Runia's talk. It says, those who look with an eye of faith can feel that it's going to be okay now. And so I'm like, okay, as I'm reading that, I'm thinking, okay, but how how do we do this? How do we have that eye of faith? I love that she says a little later in the talk that she admits, she's like, there's moments when I have one eye
Yes.
of faith and the other eye is weeping.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel this feeling? I had it Tuesday. I have it often too. I can be with, it's so relatable. We all have this stuff that we're in the middle of, and we read these scriptures and we see, okay, I just need to hold on. And I think it takes like that turning, and Jairus was so like, he was just willing to just wait and keep turning. And I think about that story in First Nephi with Nephi and his brothers and his dad. And I just think I've just been thinking about it a lot this time, specifically because my daughter's on this mission in her own wilderness, and my other daughter's struggling with these things, and I'm struggling with my own, as are we all. But I just thought it was so interesting to compare, and we probably all do this when we read First Nephi, but I thought it was so interesting to compare Nephi's response to his brother's response. And I just feel like that is the answer to this question, to have an eye of faith, to feel that it's going to be okay now. I kind of feel like Nephi, I'm sure, had those moments when he didn't feel like it was going to be okay. I'm sure we all do. But I just think it's so interesting that he was willing to just keep turning. No matter what, he just kept turning to God. And when he had a question, I love that he just kept saying, okay, help me understand this, God, because I'm not really quite understanding this. I don't understand the dream. I don't understand why we're here. I don't understand how I can build a ship. But it's that continual faith, that continual eye of hope. And I just think it's basically, bottom line I've come to is just, it's a lot easier said than done. And we just have to keep trying and reading our scriptures and doing and looking up like this girl in this picture. And I don't know.
I agree. I think that's the continual turning, and I love the whole word and the idea of turning, that it's not, you don't turn if you're sitting down. You have to be actually doing something physically and spiritually to be turning, right? Like, we want to actually actively be doing things. And I like her idea is like, you stay, let's see. Okay, we're back. But I love how Tammy is saying, you stay by the tree and you keep eating that fruit. And sometimes crying, right? Sometimes we're crying eating that fruit because it's so hard. But we don't go away from the tree, because where would they, when, people would come back or things would change, where would they go to? Like, how would we be ready to welcome our loved ones in that situations, that they want to come back? Like, would we have to be, like you said, continue. I love that idea of continually turning, continually bringing that light. As hard as it could be in moments where you feel like there's no light, but Jesus is the eternal light, right? And that's why I love that we can rely on him. Yeah, that he knows.
Well, we have that choice to make, right? We can choose. I was talking to a friend who lost her daughter years ago, but she went, and that's a wilderness in and of itself, of course, and she ended up talking to, a chain of events. I'm sure she talked to a lot of different people, but one woman that she talked to had lost her husband and had become more and more bitter through the years, because we keep having these choices. And we can choose that faith, like Sister Runia is talking about, or we can choose, this is just not fair. This is not, I don't want to be here. I don't like this. And I just love that my friend, chose the faith. She's choosing every day to have that faith. There was also a lady in my Sunday school class one time, and I still remember this so well, but she's a lady who had 9 kids, and her husband was killed in an accident when the kids were all quite young. And she raised her hand. She's a grandma now. She has, lots of years have passed. And she talked about how it has become a glistening hole for her. Not that she doesn't miss her husband terribly every day, but she's had people come and help her learn. And I thought about that, and I still think about her example now, and I just think that didn't just happen, that she had that attitude toward it. That didn't just happen. You're not going to have this horrible thing happen in your life and then just be like, okay, well, I'm just going to go on. I'm going to have this eye of faith. it takes that continual turning over and over again, shifting our face up to God, getting in our scriptures, finding a village to be around us to help us with that. Sometimes I think, I look at Eva's scriptures. Oh. I don't know if you guys have seen these, but seriously, she is amazing. Every single page is like this, and it's so well worn and so beautiful. And I'm like, okay, if I can just be like that, then maybe I'll have more hope in life too. But it's even more than that. There's so much more. I feel like, and I wish we could have like people who are listening to kind of give their examples too. But it's like I feel like gathering a village, having people around me, even a friend that writes a letter to my daughter, or a friend that might take my other daughter to the temple when she's struggling, or like having this village, or having, even asking my extended family in our group chats and stuff, like, please pray for this person.
I just got goosebumps when you said that, because it works.
It really works. Prayer is powerful.
We need each other.
And we need each other. And so sometimes we think about things and it's just this, it's all, just have hope and that's great. But there's like nitty gritty stuff that's, sometimes it just doesn't wrap up and be like, okay, this is a great ending. That's perfect.
I think it's hope too, to be wanting to reach out to a friend. And I think sometimes our kids are more willing to listen to a friend reaching out to them, or a friend or extended family member that would reach out than they would to us sometimes. Don't you guys feel that? It's like, and it's such a miracle when that happens, and seeing God's hand that, so-and-so did write a letter, or just seeing God's little tiny miracles around happening. It's the tender mercies.
I think recognizing that is such a huge thing, because sometimes those things are happening. Yeah. It's like that. There was a conference talk, I can't remember what it was, but they were saying the blessings of God are coming like rain, but sometimes we have our umbrella up and we can't feel them. And so sometimes it's just like letting that soak in, and maybe keeping a gratitude journal, or just expressing, I'm thankful that this happened today,
Yes, I love what Vicky's saying. Bidden or not, God is present. He's always there. I think that's so beautiful. And Cindy saying, faith plus trust in yourselves as examples of Christ. Trust in the Lord that He will answer our prayers. Yes, Cindy, and Vicky, you guys, that's so true. Trusting that He knows and He will answer our prayers. And I've been in my life when it's been so dark and so hard, and I was like you said, this is so interesting, because you really can choose to be bitter. You really can choose to turn your back to God, but what do you really win by doing? You would just become more bitter and more bitter and more bitter, and there's just no hope if you take that route.
Well, and don't you think that your lane narrows and narrows and narrows, but when you choose God, and it's expansive, don't you think? It's This shows that it's this expanse of hope that I think is so beautiful. And
possibilities that the little tender mercies will occur, that somebody will talk, their letter will come, a phone call. I mean, we feel like they're little things, but they're big things. And that's how God works. By small, like a phone call, a letter, by these little small things, by a friend just being nice and kind and going out of their way to do something very simple can have such a lasting and powerful effect into our lives, into our situations. And by small little things, things can change, and believing that they can. I think that, and turning, for God, for that trust is just so amazing. Yes, and I love what Vicky's saying. I love what Shawni said. Watch for the miracles. We have to, because the more we see them, I feel like the more we get. Don't you guys feel that? Like the more we look for them, it's almost like when you look at the stars. It's like, I love to go out at night. In fact, we were just at the Grand Canyon. And I think that's God spent a little more time there creating His magic, because it is just so breathtaking. We got up early in the morning to watch the sunrise. We're there 3 days, and every single morning, everyone was out of bed, bundled up, because it was freezing. We didn't know. We had to buy hats and gloves. It was so cold. But it was so beautiful at the same time. And at night, we would watch the sunset. because these are like God-given gifts that build like light into our hearts and souls so very much. And we love to do the stargazing. And because there's no light pollution there, I'm assuming that's why, right? Like I could see more stars than I do in Massachusetts. Like, oh my gosh, like literally, like we had our son Ian with us. He just went back to BYU, but he laid on the ground there. He's like, Mom, he's like, the more I look, the more I see. And that just right now made me think of those miracles. But what did he have to do? He had to like look very intently into the stars when that was his focus. And I think if God is our focus, like if we can spend that time with him, we can not just read scriptures, but really spend time with him, like wanting to see more stars in our lives. We're going to find them because they're there. I know they're there. And it is so powerful that he gives us this chance because we're so imperfect. We mess up all the time. And yet those miracles are, those stars are still there. And I love that we can all see the stars, no matter where we live.
I love that example, especially Eva, because I don't know, whoever follows her on Instagram, you see, like, she'll cut a pepper, and she'll see the seeds in there, and it's just, like, how they're lined up by God. And, like, nature is such a beautiful thing to be able to see those miracles in. And so if we train ourselves, I think it's so interesting because we live in the desert, and we moved here, it's been 20 years now, but at first when we moved here, I just thought, this is really not very pretty. I mean, there's a lot of gravel and but I kept looking for that beauty. It is so beautiful. I don't know if I've trained myself or it's just so beautiful and I just needed to open my eyes, but I love it so much. It just fills my soul. And I think I love that relation to nature with the miracles too, because if we train ourselves to see those all the time, we gradually get that more expansive view. We get the overview effect that Sister Runia is talking about. I think that's so beautiful. And I think it all relates back to love too, which she talks so beautifully about, because when we love God first, when we love ourselves, when we love those we are serving and trying to help them see the miracle, it's pretty amazing.
And I love the fact when she's talking about love and before we even talk, I just have to tell you, one of my friends gave us a lemon, you guys. A lemon. She just went into her yard this morning and picked a lemon. And I'm just in heaven because I actually take the lemon and I put it in the Blendtec with a little bit of water, with the rind and everything. And I put that in my water, a little bit of that concentration. I drink it every morning. So I told her, I'm going to think of you, Sherry, all week next week because I'm going to drink some of your lemon juice. But just the idea of the beauty of the desert. Oh my gosh.
So beautiful.
The colors and the cacti. And I'm looking at the temple we went the other day, like how they're just so vibrant. And I think it's so incredible to me that something so vibrant and beautiful can grow up in such hard conditions. And it's so symbolic to life. Like, how are you going to nurture that? There's plenty of sunlight here.
But some people could walk by that agave plant or whatever and just not even notice it and just be, I think a lot of times that is how we are in life, but we just have to keep looking. I love that Grace, my daughter, just commented on it.
She
said,
did?
You'll find what you're looking for. Good job, Grace.
Oh, yeah.
We do. We find what we're looking for when we're looking for it. And so I just think that's so beautiful that you recognize all that stuff when you pass. I just think we just all need to be better at having that eye of recognition of God's work in our lives, in nature and in our lives, because it's working in our daily lives every day.
Oh, I love that. And Shawni shares very often on the We Believe app, and I love when she comes up because it's so fun. She always has these such powerful words of wisdom from the scriptures. You guys, it's such a fun, wonderful discussion there that we have. And here's my Ian's good friend Leah. Let's see, what does she say? When we look up and admire God's creations, we understand the character of the artist. All things denote that there is a God. Oh my gosh. Yes. Thank you, Leah. That's so true. I think this scripture is actually on BYU, Hawaii. I remember seeing that on one of the walls there. Exactly, that all things denote that there is a God. And oh my gosh, isn't it true though that we need to look up? And I love, Leah, that you're saying to admire God's creations. We don't just look up, but we actually really we're like, wow, we're wowed. Like, I don't know if I said so many times wow when I was at the Grand Canyon. I don't think I said that many times wow. I'm just like, wow, wow, wow. You know, it's like this appreciation.
You say wow a lot.
I say wow a lot.
Because you do appreciate it so much.
But I love that you're saying that we can see the character of God, that he is truly an artist. And it is all around us. We could be stuck in Bulgarian darkness and not knowing what's going to happen, but we have to look around and we have to like open our hearts and whatever our life situations.
Well, that reminds me of one of my favorite parts in the Book of Mormon. So you'd think I would know exactly where it is, but I can't remember. But it's once, I don't even remember who it is, but they are losing their faith. And it says, he ceased to be astonished. And I just love the word astonishment. Like, I think we should be astonished every single day as we look at what God's doing in our lives. If we can look for that, even in the hard times. And I know it's like so easy to sit here and talk about this, but there's people who are lost in a really, really hard times right now. But if we can try to practice and work to see that astonishment in our lives, then I know it's true, and we can get that bigger, expansive overview.
And believe in a miracle, right? Believe in a miracle. The widow of Nain's story. Oh my gosh, that is all hope was lost, right? I mean, did you guys know Jesus had to walk 26 miles that night to get on time to meet the widow of Nain? I mean, this was no joke. He intentionally probably got up at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night and walked this entire time so that he could meet her and her dying son and to help. I mean, that was amazing that he could foresee that would happen right then. He's like, I'm going to show up, right? They need me. Now is the time. This was my time to show up. And it is such another, I know we can talk. The scriptures, I think, are filled with these imperfect families that are struggling, but are willing. You know, when they're willing, God will show up. And when they're not willing to let him in, they won't see. Like they cease to be astonished. They cease to see that. And I think it was Elder Anderson. I'm not quite sure, but I remember him saying faith is not by chance, but it's by choice. And like, I have it on my window when I brush my teeth. I have it on a little Post-it note. And I think it's so crucial to continually choose that faith in Christ and hope in Christ. And just this feeding our souls with what we know it's going to work. And I love like sweet Tammy that talks about love. This one part when she said, this is like one of my most favorite parts, because she was sharing how like love, she went to Elder Maxwell's it was a reporter that was reporting about Elder Maxwell and, you know, interviewing his son, and he asked him, what did you miss the most about your dad? And he said, I think this is so cute, the way always he left me feeling like his dad believed in him. That's kind of what his son said. And Tammy was saying, well, that changed my whole perspective on like how I'm gonna approach the kids when they come for the weekend. You know, I had all these lists to tell them how to do better, how to correct themselves. You know, we should do maybe a little bit of this, a little bit. She says it's so cute in here. And then I thought it was so sweet that she said, I focused on the many positive things that they are already doing. And I think so easily we gravitate to the negative. We're so easy to correct. Oh, that's wrong. Don't do this. You know, we are so easily provoked to react instead of saying, well, wait, you actually really good at this thing. You actually are so good at, and by doing that, I feel like we're gonna help and empower our kids, our friends, whoever we come in contact with, to actually work out through those other very hard things. And she says how words are superpowers. That really touched me. And I actually created an artwork out of these words, you guys, because it touched me so much. And I really needed a visual reminder of this. She said, before we interact with a loved one, can we ask ourselves this question?
I love this.
Is what I'm about to do or say helpful or hurtful? And it's just so powerful if we try to instill that in our mind before we jump and we dash out at someone. or before we just say, oh, we know this is the right way. And she's like, don't just always try to fix them, just listen. Sometimes they just need a friend to listen. I thought that was so sweet. She's like, we're in a God's given laboratory. I don't know, did you like this part? Like,
yeah.
we're figuring things out. So missteps and miscalculation are not just possible, but probable. And then, I don't know, just the idea that sometimes we're so easy to jump into, okay, I'm going to fix this right now. I know how. But sometimes our friends just need love and acceptance and like appreciation and finding those really good positive things that they're really good at.
Yeah.
That builds.
I think sometimes we need that too. It's so interesting because we're kind of talking about our own personal struggles and our own personal wildernesses, but also our children or those around us who are struggling, and the love that they need to be able to get through that. And so I love that she talks about the love that we can give. And I think it's important to give it to ourselves too, as we're going through these things, to give ourselves that ability to just be okay with the mistakes and all those things and just keep going and realize that, and even if we lose our faith for a little bit, even if we are in the darkness for a little bit, but just to keep that continual turning going on for ourselves as well as for those that we're reaching out to. But I love too, just because I have adult kids now and you do too.
Yes.
It's so great to be able to think about standing at that tree and not worrying. I think it's so interesting because my sister Sadie gave up worrying for Lent.
Me too.
And
oh my gosh.
Okay. Oh, we're out. Now we're back. We have a little podcast with my sisters and I about, it's called In the Arena with the IR sisters. And we just talking about the worry and how, is worry a good thing or is worry a bad thing? And I love that she says in this talk, worry feels like love, but it's actually different. And when we just stand and worry and wring our hands and worry, like I love that she talked about her mom, who was just so worried about her all the time, and the difference between that and her dad, who was just her cheerleader and believed in her. So like you're saying, be careful what we're saying, because when we just express the positive, our kids or those around us, our friends, ourselves, that's the positive is gonna win out, and the negative will just start dying out. But it all is because of love, don't you think?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, completely. And I love this idea that she said that our direction matters more than our speed. And it's so touching to think about that, because where are we heading? Like, who do we strive to look up to? Again, this idea of looking up. That's most important. I think in our fast-paced world, we're so easily distracted by immediate solutions, immediate help, right? But I think that's so good. Someone said, this was so neat. Let me just see. They were talking about the brazen serpent. So the brazen serpent as well. Sometimes hope and healing is as simple as being willing to look and believe that when we do, we will see him. I love that because, my gosh, right? I mean, they would have died otherwise. And it's such a little, what did they do? They looked up and there was more hope. I mean, it is so, so amazing.
All they had to do was look. Yeah.
Yes, all they had to do is look. It's like, and Raquel, you have a great comment here. Every time that I see my grandkids, I say to them, you are the perfect you. It's been interesting to watch how they wait for me to say this to them. Oh,
I love that. That's what I need to tell my kids.
You are the perfect you. Oh, that's
beautiful.
It's something to definitely be striving towards.
And it helps them grow into who they are rather than comparing, or to figure out who they are as a divine son or daughter of God.
And I remember when I was a little kid, my dad would always say, treat others the way you really want them to be. So like treat them as they are, as though you want them to be. And it kind of really stuck with me, this idea that even though they may be not that, but if we just act like they are, it really, like in situations you can praise the good and what you want them to, and they listen, you guys, they will take that in concern. Even in that moment, they're like, it will come back. I know it will come back. All these thoughts, all these pouring of light into their minds and souls and hearts, they will always be there.
And the negative will be there too. That's what's scary.
Yeah.
Is that like, we remember those things when people say things that aren't so good to us too. We hold those. And so if we can do what she's saying here in this talk, try to get the positive out more than the negative or the correction, because if we do the positive, the correction sometimes just happens on its own without us having to say anything.
Yes, and that's the little miracle in that process, that you can actually see God do its magic, that because our willingness, because of wanting to see the good and the positive, it would just kind of suck out the life. I mean, what do you fill your cup with? You want to be an original. This is such an amazing theme. You don't want to be a duplicate. Why would you want to be like someone else when God created you an original? And we each have that opportunity to go through life as originals and draw to him, and in the same way draw on his faith and have that hope in him, that in our original individual cases that he will show up. And this is a good comment also too. We remember words. Words matter so much. Oh, there's a great talk by Elder Holland about words. The tongue of angels, that is so good about that. And I agree. I still remember a lady when we were living in England, and she just told me, Eva, your enthusiasm is not contagious, so just stop. And I just wanted to get her calling.
You still remember that?
I still remember that, but it did not stop me from being enthusiastic, because we know what enthusiasm means, God within, right? So if we keep letting God come in, if we keep opening the door intentionally, she said that, and it did hurt me, I have to admit. I was struck. I was like, holy cow, I just wanted a calling. I just wanted to help in the little branch we were living. But
you have to see, she was coming from a different story too.
Yes.
She probably had a story that made her say that, but
true.
But you still carry it around, so
that's true. And it's so amazing that like Peggy saying, Sherry Dew said that no one can take your place. Yeah, no one can. And oh, thank you, Debbie. You're cute. And so, but it was like this, like, holy cow, are you kidding? And it was so hard. But one other thing you guys, do you know, like, Jairus? Do you know what his name means in Hebrew? That thought came back to me. It means God enlightens. So the father of Talitha Kumi, the little damsel, his name actually means that God would enlighten him. Of course, I love that because we're on enLIGHTen, but it just was like, wow, to have a name, and we all do. God enlightens us. We may not be called Jairus, but we take upon the name of Christ, and he's the one that would bring light to us continually. So I just kept thinking of how much his sweetheart must have been like, come on, I want it now. Please, come on, right now. Can it just work out right now? But he was so, like, patient. Maybe he actually did say something. We don't know what he was saying on that road. But again, this whole idea of the timing of our Lord and trusting him. Yeah.
Oh, I just have one thing that I want to make sure we say before.
I know, it's like time.
I just love this quote from her talk, from Sister Runia's talk. It says, as we strive to love and follow him, all things, italicized, wherewith we have been afflicted shall work together for our good. And then she repeats, all things. And I just think that's so beautiful. It just gives me so much hope that things will work together for our good, as long as we just keep, even if it means we're holding on, we're tying a knot at the end of the rope and just holding on by our fingernails. They will, in God's time, if we kind of try to look from the overview effect, that it will work out. And I love that she says we can perfect our love for others. That takes work, though, if we're willing to put it in. But it says it's our work to provide the hope and a heart that they can come home to. This is talking about our kids. But we just need to love them and have that gravitational, then she talks about a gravitational pull of love back to us, but also as we do that back to our Heavenly Father. I just think that's just so beautiful. Love is the answer.
Yeah, and love is the thing that changes hearts. I mean, it really, that is the way to do it. Vicky saying, our hope helps them see who they are and who they will become. Yes, I think it's so much like, again, the butterfly effect. I think I've shared this before, but the idea of the butterfly. When Sky was little, she would go in the fields and chase after them and run after, but she would never catch them because she wasn't still enough to stand in one place and just wait for them to come back, you know. And then she learned, she now when she sees a dragonfly, she just goes like this, she points her finger up, and the dragonfly, I'm not kidding, just comes and lands right onto her finger. And it's kind of an amazing thing that you are always there, you know, you stand and you see what God can do. You know, we don't want to keep chasing, we want to just stand by the tree, right? The same idea of having and really finding joy in eating that fruit. I think sometimes we don't show that. And I think that's like so amazing and so rejuvenating for our souls and our hearts, because we have Jesus. We have him, and it's the greatest light, hope, possibilities. He is everything. He is the one that can make miracles. He's the one that can transform our lives. And I think it's so important for our kids to see that. I agree. Like to bask on that. And I love that it, like you said, it's that love God, love our neighbor as ourselves. And I think this is so important too, for us to feed our own cup before we go out and try to feed other people around us, you know, and try to share with them. But anyway, gosh, time goes so fast. I put "I love you, Tammy" on my paper right here because I just think every time I read her talk, it's like something else jumps out that I'm like, oh, I really needed this. I really needed to see that little part.
This last sentence is so beautiful. It says, "Letting the light of Christ in our eyes becomes something others can count on in their darkest hours." And sometimes we can't do it for ourselves, but we can count on other people. If we can train ourselves, we can be it for other people. We can be that love and that hope for other people. And I just think that's so beautiful.
And you are that to so many people, Shawni.
You are that to so many
You
people.
are, and this is so, I love this. As they see light manifest in our countenances, they will be drawn to it. We can help refocus their attention to the original source of love and light.
That's powerful.
The bright and morning star, Jesus Christ. And it is so, so wonderful. And it just to know that we can do that he's allowing us imperfect beings to rely on his great power and strength. And it's there. When we need him, we can call on him. It's through his grace. And what a wonderful opportunity we have to do this, to bask on his strength. And I love Janine saying lighthouses for others. Truly, I love lighthouses. Aren't they just so much fun? Loving our children pulls them closer to us. Unkind words push them away. Oh, so true.
And not only our children, but our friends and our acquaintances and strangers. Just there's love. Love has so much power.
Yes, you guys, thank you for being with us this morning. And we're gonna put some things up on the story. I'm gonna put let's put the podcast that you do, which Sadie.
Okay.
We're gonna put it on. So because Shawni shared this really fun episode they filmed about worry, which I think is gonna be so good.
Also, just anyone who's local should know that Eva's speaking tonight.
Yes. Oh yeah. So few people are
set.
asking in there. We are in Gilbert. I don't even know the address.
I'm so excited.
But I'll put it on the story as well. So you guys, God is great. He is so amazing. And aren't we so lucky to have him in our lives? That we're not alone in the darkness. That we can count on him always.
And if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
I love that. That's so good.
And
so good.
Go together with him and with other people around us.
Yes,
So
we love you. Carpe diem. We'll be back same time next week. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Okay, bye.
Sending
Carpe
love.
diem. Yeah. Mwah. Ciao, ciao. Okay.